My name is Laura Jackson. I'm Vizex Business Development Manager. I cover the Midwest or Great Lakes area. I cover Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. And prior to joining Vizex, I spent 7 years with 2 laser centers in Western Canada that were wholly owned and operated by 65 ODs and 8 surgeons. I spent most of my time there trying to design and revamp and rehone the consultation process in all of those offices. It's important that your consultation process work for you, but it's more important that it work for the patients. The idea of processing a patient is to get them to book surgery. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is making the most of your consultation process. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about the difference between a consultation and an evaluation, how we can understand how the sales techniques for laser vision correction work in a consultation process. If you're uncomfortable with the word sales, change it to customer service. That's all sales in laser vision correction is. It's just customer service. It's just answering their needs as opposed to ours. So that's what we're going to talk about. Why is it important to have an effective consultation process? We'll cover that. And then creating an action plan so you can actually affect some change within your own practice without making all of your employees quit on the same day. Let's start with the basics. What's the difference between a consultation and an evaluation? The consultation process for this discussion is about the meet and greet. It's about the information we exchange with patients to find out about them, about their needs, about what they're looking for in a laser vision correction center. The evaluation, again, for this discussion, that's the medicine. Everybody's got to do some medicine. You've got to do some tests. You've got to figure out if they're a good physical candidate. For the most part, we're going to talk about the consultation. You may call them something different in your own office. That's okay. But think of them as those two things: the meet and greet, exchange of information, and the medicine side. What belongs in a consultation? The timeliness is very important. How many people can get a new consult in for a full consultation Tuesday of next week? Think about your own schedules. Thursday? Getting a little better. Into the following week, is that probably more like it? If your next available consultation is anywhere from a week to 10 days, you are at the maximum level that patients really want to wait. They will dial up and call someone else that can get them in next week. So think about that. You're limiting your growth potential by not being able to get these patients in. I'm going to guess that none of your physicians sent you to this course because they want to minimize and do less eyes in 2007. Most of them want to do more. They've tasked you with doing it. Streamlining your consultation process from within, it's huge. It will help tremendously, but you've got to think about the timeliness of those consult availabilities. And how do we talk about advanced custom view as a tool? Where are we talking about it? When are we talking about it? How are we talking about it? The patients are there to be educated about the procedure, but they're really there to book book surgery. If you don't have a 2-step process, think about getting one. That's that medicine separation from the consultation portion. Medicine can be done anytime after they book surgery. As a complication of booking surgery, we need to do some extra testing. Because you've decided to go ahead with surgery, we're going to do some more wave scan testing. We're going to have you come back for a second visit. Doesn't all have to be done at the consultation. So just keep that in mind as you're talking about reprocessing and reworking your own consultation process. Importance of the face-to-face. Why do we need them to come in? Why? I've got a great technician I often hear. She answers all of her patients' questions on the phone. She can handle all the phone calls. I was a technician for 15 years. We're very good at explaining things to patients. It's important for them to come in because this is how they see the facility. This is where they make their impression. If you've got a great person who can answer every question about how we create a flap, what's going to happen to you after surgery, they don't need to come in. And they don't think they're ready to book surgery yet. So you've just put off somebody who might be a potential candidate for surgery next week. You want them to come into your office, building a relationship with them. If you sat through Amy White's course with all the statistics, one of the most compelling statistics is that 75% of all practices say that between 50 and 80% of their business comes from word of mouth. Your word of mouth starts at the consultation. So you want to get them in and you want to do a good job. For the patients and the consumer, we think they're here to learn about laser vision correction. They are here to learn a little bit about the procedure. They've probably studied online, they've talked to somebody, they may have had a consultation somewhere else. What they're really here is to learn about you. That's why they're here. So you want to make sure that you've got scripting and information that talks to them about you, not just about that flap that you're creating. There are 5 steps to the process. If you break down your consultation process into these 5 steps, it'll be a lot easier to start changing and inserting new information. The arrival, the initial interview, diagnostic testing, that's medicine. Remember, it can be done anywhere. Closing interview and follow-up. Every step along the way has 2 functions. One is to just move them on to the next one, and the other one is, again, to build that relationship. It's your opportunity to make them glad they showed up, they took time off of work, that they came during the hours you could provide to them, and you want to keep that in mind when you're taking these apart. What's the functionality of the arrival, and what did we do to build a relationship? What did we do to make them feel good about showing up at our place? At the initial interview, when you watch the video, they talk about pricing, they talk about the procedure, what's motivating the patient, all up front. That can be done based on your model throughout the process, but it has to be scripted. You can't just assume that, well, we don't really have a dedicated counselor, they're just going to go right into the testing with the technicians, that the technicians know how to handle those inquiries. They often get bogged down in the testing because they don't have a good script. So writing a script is important, and we're going to talk about that.
Welcome. This video was developed to show you some valuable patient consultation skills. We'll follow a model laser vision correction team as they walk through the steps of the consultation process with 2 prospective patients. Along the way, we'll be highlighting some important things to keep in mind as you do your own consultations. Before the arrival of any potential patients, take a look around your office. Remember that first impressions count, so make sure prospective patients have a good impression of your practice environment. The patient's arrival at your office sets the tone for the entire consultation.
Good morning.
Hello.
How may I help you?
Yes, I'm Debbie McKee. I'm here for a consultation.
So nice to meet you. Please help yourself to our refreshments. The restroom is through this door and on the left. After you get settled, could I ask you to fill out these forms?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
How can I help you?
I'm Brian Pearson. I'm here for a consultation. I'm not really sure whether this is the best solution for me since I've got an astigmatism.
Well, options for correcting your astigmatism can be determined and covered in more detail during your consultation. In a few minutes, I'll be introducing you to Andrea, our laser vision coordinator, Leslie, our technician, and then you'll see Dr. Phillips for an eye examination.
While everyone is unique in their individual life experiences, there are common ways that people express their personality. Prospective patients can be said to have 4 distinct personality traits. Friendly personalities respond to personal stories and encouragement, while expressive people want to share their own experiences. Analytical personalities are more interested in facts and details, while controlling personalities need to be the driver during the consultation. Individualize your approach to work with each personality type in a way that will make them comfortable. Let's look at how our laser vision correction team works with Brian and Debbie. Brian has analytical and controlling traits, while Debbie is a more friendly, expressive type. The consultation is your practice's opportunity to learn about the patient and address their questions and concerns. Everyone who performs the initial interview should be comfortable with the 3-question opening. Let's see how much information our laser vision coordinator, Andrea, is able to gather with 3 simple questions.
So Debbie, can you tell me why you're interested in laser vision correction?
Well, I've never really been happy with the way I look in glasses, and I can only tolerate my contact lenses for a few hours a day.
The answer to this question will let you assess the patient's level of interest. It also tells you their particular motivations and issues and gives you a chance to uncover objections. Let's see how Andrea handles the analytical and controlling Brian.
How long have you been considering laser vision correction, Brian?
I've been doing research for about 6 months, researching on the internet, reading about it, and checking it out.
Excellent. It's really great when patients learn as much as they can about laser vision correction. What are your conclusions about what you've read?
I'm just not sure I'm going to get the results I'm looking for. I wouldn't want to make my vision worse.
I can certainly appreciate your concerns. Of course, no one can guarantee that you'll have perfect vision after this procedure. Just as with any surgery, there is a potential for complications. However, Dr. Phillips has performed this laser vision correction procedure more than 1,200 times, and he can tell you about the results his patients have experienced.
Does he have testimony?
The third question is critical in helping you to determine any possible objections.
So why haven't you had laser vision correction done yet, Debbie?
I'm just not sure I can afford it. What does it cost to have this procedure?
We have a lot of...
A clear and frank discussion of pricing will help patients feel more comfortable and assist them in making a decision.
Because here is a summary of the services that we include in our price.
Okay.
You'll see the breakdown of all
If you are confident and comfortable with your pricing, the patient is likely to be more comfortable too. Never apologize about price.
But your prices are higher than a couple of other practices in the area.
When you're looking at cost, you'll want to compare the total treatment plan. Our price includes not only the consultation.
Take pride in sharing your practice's unique strengths, the physician's experience, special services, and so on. And again, you can help prospective patients with their budgeting concerns by candidly exploring all the payment options you offer for laser vision correction at your practice. The primary purpose of diagnostic testing is to assess whether a patient is a good candidate for laser vision correction. Keep in mind that as you are performing tests, your patients are also assessing your potential to be their laser vision correction provider. They'll want to be assured that your practice is focused on them as a unique individual, rather than just one of many patients.
We offer Vizix Custom View, an individualized laser vision correction procedure that enables Dr. Phillips to measure and correct the imperfections that are unique to your individual vision. I'm going to use the WaveScan technology to measure the unique imperfections of your vision.
Take the opportunity to explain how WaveScan technology works.
First, the WaveScan technology produces a detailed map of your eye. Then this information is translated into custom view treatment instructions, which are transferred to the laser, enabling the doctor to tailor a correction for the unique characteristics of your vision. You'll have plenty of time to discuss the maps of your vision with Dr. Phillips in a few minutes.
Make sure that you allow a comfortable amount of time for the diagnostic portion of the consultation. Patients will feel more at ease and comfortable if you're taking all the time necessary to assess their vision and focus on their unique needs. The key role of the physician includes performing medical examinations and screenings. It is the doctor's responsibility to advise whether or not a prospective patient is a candidate for laser vision correction. The doctor will also explain the benefits and risks of laser vision correction and provide the patient with the appropriate patient information booklet.
Brian, I'd like you to meet Dr. Phillips. This is Brian Pearson.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
Brian has some questions about his astigmatism and isn't sure whether laser vision correction is right for him.
Oh, all right. Well, Andrea, thank you. Let me take it from here. Well, Brian, first of all, Custom View is approved to treat the broadest range of individuals, even those with astigmatism. Secondly, at our practice, we've treated many astigmatic patients who've been very satisfied with their results. Why don't we take a look and see if you'd be a good candidate, and then I can answer your questions in more detail.
All prospective patients want enough information to make a suitable decision and know that they're in good hands should they decide to have the procedure. The closing interview is your opportunity to assist patients in determining whether they have decided to have the procedure. You might want to try to schedule the procedure if you think the patient is ready.
Well, Debbie, how'd it go with Dr. Phillips?
Well, he explained the maps and answered all my questions about laser vision correction. He was very helpful.
Good. Do you think you're ready to do this?
Yes, I am ready.
When would you like to schedule the procedure?
When can we do it?
Would next Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning be good for you?
Thursday. would be fine, although I'm still a little nervous.
It's normal to be nervous. However, we want you to be comfortable with your decision, so be sure and call us if you have any questions or concerns before your procedure date.
Okay.
Verbal and nonverbal cues can tell you when a patient is not ready to make a decision.
I need a little more time to think about this.
Listen for any concerns or objections. Patients' concerns should be handled with patience, understanding, and education.
Is there anything that you're specifically concerned about that we didn't cover today?
Well, my buddy had it done 5 years ago, and he wasn't happy with his night vision.
Custom View wasn't available 5 years ago. Let me get Dr. Phillips, who can answer your questions about night vision.
Okay. So Brian, Andrea tells me you had some questions about night vision, and I should say we get this question a lot from patients who are coming in, but tell me specifically what your concerns are.
Mainly driving at night.
Did Dr. Phillips answer your question?
Yes, he did.
Good. Do you want to schedule the procedure?
I think so. I sure am tired of these contacts.
Well, let's schedule it. And if you change your mind, you can call to discuss any questions or concerns you might have.
Okay.
You should be and sound excited, confident, and proud of your practice's ability to provide this potentially life-changing procedure. The consultation process is not finished when the patient walks out the door. Plan to follow up with the patient prior to their scheduled procedure to see if they have any questions. Also, it's just as important to follow up with those patients who have not scheduled an appointment to see if they've come to a decision or have any other questions. In order to trust their eyes to the care of your practice, patients need to feel that you care about them. Taking the time to listen, inviting patients to tell you more, thoroughly answering questions, and supporting the prospective patient's decision-making process will help demonstrate that the patient is truly important to you. The bottom line is that the consultation is your best opportunity to provide the patient with enough knowledge to make a decision. Focus on educating and supporting the prospective patient. And remember, have fun during the consultation process. This is an opportunity to build a relationship that results in successful laser vision correction and a happy Custom View patient.
We covered some of this. It's pretty good. It's a model Custom View consultation, so you notice the patients convert pretty darn easily once you ask them if they want to have surgery. It's an idea. You want to think about everything that's in it based on how does that actually work in real life in my practice. In this particular video, they do all the discussion about price and about financing up front. She asks all the questions in a little office. Often we all wear different hats in a practice. We're the laser vision coordinator slash technician slash office manager. So you want to find how it works in your practice. Those conversations can be built in anywhere. They just need to be scripted. They also need to be distributed. Everybody needs to know when that discussion is going to happen, how it's going to happen, and who's going to have that conversation. The last thing you want is the doctor to walk in and the patient, and he tells the patient that they're a good candidate, and they say, great, how much does that cost? Most of us don't want our doctors talking about fees because they'll discount it. They'll give it away. They'll give them a special deal. We also don't want them to have that concern. They need to see the patients. They need to have a script as well. So everything we talk about will be to build scripts and to build it so that your physician actually has a script too. It makes it easier for them to process patients as well. The greeting. Evaluate yourself. Do your staff members know the patient's coming? Are they able to get around from the desk and greet that person? Are they able to do something more than just say, while they're on the phone, sign in and have a seat. We'll be with you in a minute. The greeting's very important for these patients. It's your first impression. So look and see what happens to your patients, not just your laser vision patients, all of your patients when they walk to the front door. They came around the desk. She explained what was going to happen today. You're going to meet our laser vision counselor. You're going to have some testing done. and you're going to be seeing the doctor afterwards. I'm a big fan of the why. You're going to see our laser vision counselor. She's going to talk to you about affordability and pricing. You're going to have a lot of tests done. Those help the doctor build a recommendation of what type of procedure is right for you. Most physicians nowadays offer more than one procedure. More than one price. There's a lot of price tiering out there. You want to make sure the patient knows when and how they're going to get the answers to their questions. It will help your consultation process flow. If their biggest concern is fees, they're going to ask the first person that they come to. They're going to ask the next person that they come to. Well, what's that going to cost? Does it look like I'm a candidate for the $6.99? They're going to be obsessed with it. If you don't tell them where it's going to happen, once we know what you're a good candidate for, we're going to talk to you about our affordability plans and which one's right for you. So make sure they know where they're going to get their answers. How long the consult's going to take. Most people are busy, you're at work. They need to know, I'm going to be here an hour, I'm going to be here an hour and a half. Does everybody's doctor run on time? No. Ever? It's hard. There's a lot going on in a medical practice. If you know it takes 2 hours to do your consultation process, two things. A, try to find ways to make it smaller. And B, make sure that the patients know that you're meeting their expectation. If they expect to be there an hour because that's what your phone counselors tell them, and they're there 2 hours, you've already let them down. You've already not fulfilled their expectation. So it's going to be tough to decide to have surgery here because you already disappointed me. So think about that. It's about customer service. Ask what is needed for in information. Ask for needed information. Needed should be in capital letters. What do you really need from a patient to do a consultation? Do you need a huge history and physical form filled out? Insurance forms, all of that? You don't need that unless they sign up for surgery. What you need is their name, their age. Do they wear contacts? Have they ever had an eye injury? That's all you need. Get it down to the basics so that you can process these patients. If they decide to have surgery, you're going to have to do a little more medicine. You're going to have to get a little more information. They may have to come back for another visit. Ask for what you need. Don't make them do more than that. Listen to what they have to say. Brian came in and said, first thing, I'm just here to find out if I'm a candidate. I've got an astigmatism. Might not work for me. Somebody made a note of that in the chart. The counselor talked to you about it. She introduced the doctor and his concerns. This is Brian. He's concerned about his astigmatism. It got noted. So make sure when they tell you something like that your staff is actually listening. The front desk can gather very valuable information. Rarely do they write it down and pass it on to the back office staff. But if they know that's their job, that's part of their script, you're more likely to get it. Your counselor scripting, very important that this is flexible, that your counselor is somebody who can switch gears depending on the differences in the types of patients, but they should have a script. It should help establish a relationship. I'm a big fan of the meet and greet, the hi, I'm your counselor. Let me tell you what's going to happen today. I'll see you at the end of your visit and we can wrap up. Then they know this friendly face is going to be there at the end to answer all my questions. It really makes the technical portion flow a bit better. They're the ones that are there to determine what's keeping this person from having surgery and why are they here. We think we know why they're here. We think it's because they want to get rid of their glasses. But you have to probe a little more. They want to get rid of their glasses because I'm getting married, I'm going scuba diving, I want to become a fireman. They've got a personal reason attached to getting rid of their glasses. The personal reason may be that I've worn contacts since I was 11. I can't wear them anymore and I hate my face, as she said, with glasses on. But it's a very personal reason. We need to tailor-make our counselor scripts and their ability to switch gears to that. During the initial interview, you'll notice on the tape, the initial interview, she asked all the questions. They talked about pricing, they talked about everything. That conversation can happen anywhere. They happen to put it up front. It can happen at the end. If you're a tiered pricing center, you might not know what the procedure that they've elected to have until after they've seen the doctor and the conversation at the end, but it's scripted. 3 questions: how long have you been considering, what's motivating you, and why did you choose us? Those come in lots of different varieties. What brought you into Smith Vision? your ad, a referral from another patient. Another way to ask that question that doesn't feel quite so direct. Anybody? Can you tell me, how, what do you know about Dr. Smith? Well, I know that he's been here a long time. He's the only corneal specialist in town. They may have done their research. They may say nothing. I don't know anything about him. I've just found you in the phone book. It lets you know where they are. You're doing a little probing. That's what those questions are for, is to get them to open up. During that initial interview, or at the end, you're going to have a pricing discussion. Somewhere in your day, you're going to talk about money. Make sure you're confident. If you are the highest price in town, be confident and know why your doctor has set that fee. If you're the lowest price in town, be confident and know why you are. You have to be comfortable with what your pricing structure is. In most communities, there's a range where everybody's in, but know why you charge what you do and just be comfortable with it. He asked about the fee, noted that it was higher than he thought it would be, or was that was her, and she just, here's what it includes. Be careful during a consultation if a patient says, wow, it's a lot more money than I thought it would be, and in sympathy you say, yeah. We do that as a habit. We nod when somebody's telling us something that they're concerned about. In empathy, you've just said, yeah, it is expensive. So you want to watch your own body language as well. Emphasize affordability. If you've got an affordability plan, make sure you talk about it, that you talk about it readily, that everybody knows what it is. During the candidacy testing, why are we doing it? We need to assess their physical candidacy for the procedure, but they're also assessing us. This is our chance to shine or not shine. Spent 15 years as a technician. Our job is to process patients. We move that office. We keep that doctor going from room to room to room, and our only job is to get this person out of this chair into the next one. The technician scripting goals, again, it's to keep them on track. It's to keep these patients moving. They need to be able to tell the patient easily how that equipment works. That's the wave scan. How it's going to help in the process, we're going to gather all of this information. We're going to measure the irregularities that are in your vision, and the doctor's going to build a treatment around those. Very simple. They don't need to be able to rebuild a wave scan in their garage when they get home. Stay away from that. Redirect the questions to the laser vision coordinator and the physician. If your physician only plays a small part, or your physician plays a huge part but gets bogged down, part of the reason for the technician scripting is so that the physician will know what to say. The physician will know what was already covered. If they have a script, then the physician's script gets simpler. If you start at the beginning and everybody's doing the same thing each time, it gets a lot easier to manage the wrap-up for the physician. Much easier. They're also there so that you can introduce your practice. This is huge when you're writing your own scripts and you're figuring out what it is you want to convey to patients. What's special about you? We have a worksheet. We have these PDP modules. The worksheet's called 10 Reasons to Choose Your Practice. That's a blank piece of paper that you and your staff need to get together and throw ideas out there. Boil it down to about 5 really good reasons that are able to be reproduced in any situation. Somebody on the phone can use them. Somebody at the front desk, the laser counselor. It's a great exercise so that everybody's up to speed on why you want your patients to come there. Why should they? Inform the patient. Laser vision correction procedures. This seems very simple. What a physician wants to do changes all the time. The procedures you offer. Does he offer PRK? Does he offer epi-LASIK? Does he offer intralace? Do we do custom, non-custom? Whatever your parameters are for what the doctor offers, make sure everybody's comfortable with that list. If there's a change made, I was in a practice not long ago. The doctor stopped doing a particular procedure. A patient came back for her second consultation. She'd been in a year before, been told she wasn't a LASIK candidate, but that she could have this alternate procedure. In that year, he stopped doing that procedure. It really clogged up that consultation. She didn't quite know what to say about not being able to offer her that anymore, but we have a new technique that we use. You know what? It needs to go back to the physician. Clinical questions addressed by the physician. We're glad you're back. We're going to do some more tests. The doctor's going to make a recommendation. It's not up to that technician to explain why they do or don't offer that. That's the doctor. He's going to make a recommendation later. Don't let it clog you up. Pricing and competition. Know what's going on in your neighborhood. So important. You don't have to do anything about it, but you need to constantly be aware of what's going on in your marketplace so that your staff and your consultation process can stay on track. The worst thing is when you get thrown for a loop, that something is completely out of whack. We've got in Michigan a group that is now offering, if you are booked for laser vision correction anywhere in the state, we'll do it half price. Half price of their price, half price of our price. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you have to do anything or change your marketing, but in your consultation process, you don't want this unknown to pop up and not have your staff be able to deal with it. That's an interesting question. We're going to have you talk to our laser vision or our counselor, and she's going to explain why our fees are what they are, and we'll see what we can do for you. Move it on down the line. Mostly they're there so that you can develop a good relationship. Remember, I said 75% of all practices get between 50 and 80% of their patients from word of mouth. If we don't have a script and we don't know what's going to happen along that process, really hard to manage your word of mouth patients. It's really hard to get a handle on that. You are the company to these patients. When they come in and they get a chance to sit down with either a technician or the laser vision coordinator, or maybe she's the same person, that's their experience. So if you script it, then you have a better chance of that relationship being predictable. How are we going to manage it? Fancy term called active listening. Active listening is asking a question and waiting for the answer. It's not hard. They have lots of courses about it. If you ask for the information and you listen and then acknowledge what they said to you. I believe in the video when Debbie said, yes, I'm ready to book, but I'm still a little nervous. She didn't ignore that. She didn't downplay it. She said, I understand lots of people are nervous. Her solution was, feel free to call anytime. We'll talk to you about it. We'll reassure you. She gave her a solution to that nervousness. So if you acknowledge it and find a solution for them, then you've done them a great service. They're more likely to book. Probe for motivators. Why are they interested in LASIK? Let's ask the question. Allows a personalized and not canned presentation. It's not just the same for everybody. Not everybody's concerned about night vision. Not everybody's concerned about how to create a flap. Not everybody needs the same thing. So if we ask, well, I'm very nervous, what are you nervous about? For some people, it's just the physical act of laying under the laser. For some people, it's the results. For some people, it's telling them what it costs to their spouse and working out the details. It's different for everybody. So make sure you ask for the motivators. Probe. Handling objections, not as hard as it sounds, you know. They have objections. Often when you're scheduling the consultation, often about surgery itself, the hidden objections are the tough ones. The patient goes through the process, they listen to the information, they get to the counselor at the end, and she says, so, you're a good candidate. Did you want to book surgery? You know what, I think I'm going to think about it for a while. There's a hidden objection there. Why are you going to think about it? Did we not answer your questions? What can we do to make you feel better about it? You're going to have to ask some more questions. You're going to have a probe a little more deeply. Sometimes they really do need to go home and speak to a spouse. Sometimes they just didn't get the answers they want. We know in this day and age that people are shopping more and physically shopping. They're not just going to one doctor and having one consultation and deciding yes or no to have surgery, but they're going to multiples. If they've been to if we've asked the question earlier, I think the question was, how long have you been thinking about laser vision correction? Another way to pose that to get a different answer is, have you ever had a consultation for laser vision correction before? Now, it's not because you want to know anything about their competition, but they'll say, yes, I had it a year ago, I had it a year and a half ago. I had one last week and I've got one scheduled next week. This person's ready to book, so we need to answer their questions. Clearing the objection, it's that understanding. I understand your concerns about money. I understand your concerns about the doctor's qualifications. That list of 10 points is going to help you get through those objections. If you don't make the list, it's really hard to clear the objections. Important to remember this. A man always has two reasons for doing anything, a good reason and then the real reason. Think about that when people give you that objection. Well, I need to go home and think about it. Well, that's, that's a good reason, but is it the real reason? Diagnostic testing, why are we doing it? And how? Tests and purpose. What you'll be doing, script your technicians. I was a technician for 15 years, technician in a laser center. Nobody ever told me what to say. It usually never happens. This is usually the biggest gap in your process, is that your technicians, because they're very qualified, they're good at the tests, nobody's ever helped them figure out when they can pawn something else off on the doctor or on the laser vision coordinator. They feel very compelled to answer all questions themselves. It's what they usually do in your medical practice, right? They make it all happen. So make sure you script it for them. Lots of time for questions. Those questions can be directed to the end of the exam or the consultation if you want. They don't have to be in the middle. Allow enough time. Minimize transitions. You don't want these patients moving from room to room to room to room if you can avoid it. It all boils down to making a better physician participation. At some point, the physician's got to participate. And a physician can be, depending on your group, a physician can be the OD. That can be the person that makes the recommendation. But that final medical okay, this is where we really need to work. It's actually the easiest part to script. If you've interviewed your doctor and asked them what it is they need during the consultation process, and that you're sure you're doing the same thing each time so the doctor knows what was done, their scripting is very short and easy. They're there to wrap it up and pat on the knee. You're a great candidate. I think you'll do well with advanced custom view LASIK or whatever the recommendation is. And here's why. Do you have any questions we haven't answered? It's very concise. Doctors are very technical people. They're very smart. They have a hard time boiling things down for patients and keeping it concise. We can help them with that. At the end, we have got a lot of slides that have boiled down FDA-approved statements that are great for incorporating into your physician scripting. The closing interview, very important. This is where we're going to talk about money. This is where we're going to talk about scheduling. The easiest way to start, because you've had a nice wrap-up by the physician, bless you, and a recommendation for the type of procedure, so now we know what's going to cost, is to start with an assumed close. They're not here to waste their time. They're not here just to get educated. They really do want to book surgery. All you have to do is ask them. Doctor recommended such and such. Are you ready to book surgery? Is there a certain time you wanted to do this in? You said earlier you had an event coming up or you wanted to take scuba lessons. Refer back to those personal things that have been put in their chart, because we actually wrote them down, and build on that. But you've got to ask the questions. Are you ready to book? Did you get the answers you needed? And often the counselor doesn't have a script, so they don't know where to start. Okay, so looks like LASIK for you, huh? And then they leave it hanging. They put that ball in the patient's court. Patient says, well, yeah, I guess so. Well, now we're on that uncertainty level. Make sure you ask the questions. The follow-up. Does everybody follow up with patients that have booked surgery for the day before? Just to confirm. The last thing you want is a patient showing up that didn't get somebody to drive them. In Chicago, we have a lot of people that take the train into the city if they're having surgery done there. They're planning on taking the train home. They do it all the time. But they should have somebody with them. So you want to make sure that they've planned for that. You want to make sure that they also feel you're taking care of them. It's another customer service item. If they did not book, this is just as important. What happens to those people? How are we following up with them? Did we make a note in the chart to say why they didn't book, that they needed a little extra time? Remind them of your availability. I know you had to talk to your husband. You were seeing what days you could get off of work. Just want to let you know we've added another surgery day next Thursday. Thought that might work for you. Okay, so again, it's all about their needs, not ours. How do you get the custom view? The doctor's invested in the laser, he's invested in the wave scan, he's invested in IR, and he wants to do IR, advanced custom view procedures. Incorporating the lingo into your consultation process makes it so much easier. Some practices don't upsell it, some practices do. Patients should leave knowing that they've had an advanced custom view procedure, and by talking about it throughout the process and throughout the testing in a nice, simplistic way will help forge that conversion. Use your custom view tools. You can get those from your business development people. We've got some new tools coming out. If you're a laser owner, those will be shipped to you directly. If not, call your business development person or email them. Consider, if you're not already doing it, the patient education DVD. They're updating that again for the advanced custom view and IR. It's a great tool. I've seen people use it just on its own on the little portable DVD players. They have patients listen to it while they're dilating. You can incorporate it into an existing video that you already have with the doctor talking to patients. I think in my last group, they actually built one around where the doctor introduces himself. I'd like you to watch this video. They watch it, and then the doctor comes in later. It saves him a ton of time. It's very effective. What are the statements that make it easy to talk about custom view and advanced custom view? When a patient says, what is it? It's an advanced procedure that establishes a new standard in laser vision correction. These are all FDA-approved statements. They're all in your book, so don't feel you have to write them down. But it's important to get comfortable with them when you're writing scripts. This isn't a phone consultation course, but in your phone consultation as well, you want to be comfortable with the statements. Excuse me, the procedure is wave scan guided. Patients don't always understand when you tell them that they have to have a wave scan, that that's not the laser. So you want to make sure that you understand in straight scripting terms what these things do. It's wavefront guided, which enables the doctor to measure unique imperfections in an individual's vision. We've always known there were imperfections. We just couldn't measure them. Now we can. That's what we're going to do with the wave scan. These are great things to put in your technician scripting. Talk about quality of vision when you're doing scripting, as opposed to numbers. You know, you can get 20/20, you can get this. Certain people need numbers. Most people need to talk about quality. How good is it going to be? What are my chances of? Personal best vision. Does everybody know about the Personal Best Vision website? We talk about personal best vision. That's another word for individualized treatment outcomes. Technology key statements. I like this one on the bottom. It identifies and measures. Identifies and measures. We can now see it. We can measure it. We can build a new treatment. It measures 25 times more accurately than we could for glasses or contacts. Put it in another way in patients' languages. The phoropter that we measure you for glasses that you sit behind, is it better 1 or 2? 25 times more accurate measurement than that. People get very concerned about having to sit behind a phoropter. Makes them nervous. Did I do it right? Much more accurate measurement for this purpose. The wave scan technology produces a detailed map of your eye. That's about as technical as you need to get. Even if you're a really good technician, it's a detailed map of your eye. Tells us all the imperfections. It's like a fingerprint, very specific to you and that eye. Well, how does it work? It's digital information that's transferred to the laser. We build a treatment just for you based on these measurements. How many people in here use the wave scan? Excellent. Does it make a funny noise when you don't get a good scan? Yeah. And these patients are very astute. They know that that isn't a good noise. Doesn't mean, great, you did a good job. Tell them ahead of time, you know what, we're going to take this very detailed map of your eye. It's actually 25 times more accurate a measurement, but the machine makes a lot of funny noises. You don't want them getting all concerned about what we think of as just a daily occurrence, or going, gee, I can't get those pictures on that left eye. Don't influence their perception of that consultation. It's okay if you have to take 2 or 3 pictures. It's okay if it makes that noise, but they don't know that. It's very commonplace to us. It's about their experience and how comfortable they feel with you gathering the information. I'm supposed to be going. This is an important number. I said earlier, focus on quality, not quantity, not numbers. Some patients need numbers. Your staff needs numbers to feel confident about a procedure. All of these numbers are important. The most important one, I think, to a patient is the one in the middle. 98% of patients could see 20/20 or better without glasses or contacts in our FDA clinical trials. If you mention the one above, The 100% could go with pass a driving test. 100% sounds good to a patient. A driving test, we'd like to see better than that. 70% of patients could see better than 20/20. In the industry, that's a phenomenal number. Nobody gets those kind of numbers with their clinical trials. All the patient heard was 70%. That's not good enough in their head. 70% is a little low. That middle number is fantastic. It's a very good responsive number to relay to your patients. 98% of patients could see 20/20 or better with a custom view procedure. Excuse me. Clinical hyperopia trials, 4 times as many patients had better night vision. All good things to know. So when you go back to your practice, what are you going to do? You're going to take apart what happens in your practice. You're going to look at it in pieces, in those 5 steps. If you just start changing things, it's probably going to be a little ineffective. I would start by reviewing your office. How does it look from a patient's perspective? If you're a patient and you walk in, what experience do you have at your front desk, at that greeting? What happens in the back? Do a flow analysis. Technicians hate to see the flow analysis, little pieces of paper come up, but it's for everybody. How long did they go to the front desk? How long do they sit there? The front desk, once those patients clear the front desk, their job's over. They're done. They're finished thinking about it. We need to know what happens to that patient throughout the whole process. It's not unusual. We often think, well, the doctor runs behind. The doctor could be sitting in his office because we're running behind or we've missed a step. So for your consultation to be effective, you need to take those pieces apart and look at them individually. After you do that, and I would encourage you only to change one thing at a time, because if it doesn't work, you may want to go back to the other way that you did it or try something different. You may have a lot of staff pushback about changing anything. Often when I go in an office and try to change something, I get the, well, we can't do that because. Give it a try. Nothing's written in stone, but after you change something, you've got to be able to evaluate it and how it affects your patients, not just your staff, but your patients. Surveys, does everybody do patient satisfaction surveys? They're hard to do, they're hard to manage. They're very, very important. I would highly encourage you to do small ones. For patients that booked and patients that don't book, you want to ask them the same question. How was your experience? Did you have enough time with the doctor? Did you get all your questions asked? I wouldn't ask more than about 5 questions per survey. You can ask the exact same questions of your patients that booked and the ones that didn't. An easy way to manage that is when you mail them out, just make them different colors. Because then you know the blue ones are the patients that booked and the yellow ones are the patients that didn't. So when they come back, there's not a lot of sorting and figuring out who was this patient, did they book later. It's very straightforward. Make them anonymous. Occasionally in laser vision correction, you get a patient that's a little off the wall, a little demanding, a little troublesome. They brought their 6 kids in. They had 15 minutes, even though you told them they'd be here in an hour and a half. And they need to go now, and they're only going to see the doctor. You can't put those drops in my eyes. I'm allergic to everything. If you let them write their names on the surveys, you will discount what they say because you know they're crazy. You just know it. Make them anonymous. Otherwise, we're prejudiced against the answers. It's very important. It's also very easy. If you ask them not to put their name on it, they'll just mail them back. It's great. Patient processing, efficient use of the staff and physician's time. When you try to evaluate yourself, make sure everybody knows that's what you want to do. You're not trying to make anybody's job harder. You're not trying to point fingers. The doctor has probably tasked you with growing his business. I did 20 eyes last year. I want to do 40 eyes. I did 2,000 eyes last year. I want to do 3,000 eyes. Rarely do we ever hear physicians say that, you know what? I did 1,500 eyes last year. I think this year I'll do 1,000. Everybody wants to grow their business. It's up to us to find ways to get the staff on board. These are fun patients, but make sure they know why you're doing it. We want to make you work smarter, not harder. And the same is true for the physician. Mystery shop your own practice. And it don't just mean mystery shop by calling the other practices on the phone to find out what they charge and what they're offering and what they said about you. If you have the ability to walk somebody through a consultation in somebody else's practice, do it. Sign up as a patient. Sign your husband up and go with them. You want to see what they're doing wrong, or what you think they were doing wrong. You want to see what they're doing right. None of us have all the answers, but it's nice to see what's going on in other practices. Often your competition has a lot of things right. If you can go, or if you're in a small enough community that you can go somewhere else, because everybody knows everybody in certain towns, do that. But it's worth the effort and it's worth the time.